This week we watched Babygirl, directed by Halina Reijn.
It's like meh. It's like super mid. Like I know for everybody when they saw this trailer or knew the movie's coming out, their initial inclination was, Unforgiven with Diane Lane. So that's gonna be honestly your biggest comparison with this movie. That 50 Shades of Grey. There are a lot of movies that deal with this kind of subject matter that draw your particular interest in it. And a lot of people, I guess, some people are deriding it, saying you shouldn't compare, um, movies with the same genre, with the same subject matter, even though there are many different actresses, because we do it with male actors do the same thing, where they might all do like the same type of movie. But, but I do it with male actors. Like I will compare like a Tom Cruise or uh, um uh Brad Pitt movie if they're still in the same subject matter, or compare one to the other. But as far as them there being so other better movies in this erotic thriller genre, yeah, this was kind of really meek to me. Like I got like into like an hour and like 4 minutes into the movie and I was like, I can't watch anymore. Like literally to the halfway point. Like usually when the action is rising at that point, and it just didn't draw me in, and I couldn't finish it.
I think the themes in it are interesting. I just don't. I think the framing is hard for me. I think the framing of there's an older woman who needs to hasn't felt sexually fulfilled.
Hmm.
And so she has this affair. And I'm kind of just not with it. Whether it's doesn't matter the gender, because it does feel like a gender swapped kind of thing where it's usually like the big important boss and the young intern who's a woman.
Hmm.
And now the big important boss is a woman and the young intern is a man.
Hmm.
The genders don't really mean like if you swap it, it doesn't. I know it does present interesting dynamics, maybe kind of because it's complicated in the way where it's like ultimately she still has the power because she still is his boss.
Hmm.
But I think what I don't like is the cheating. I just really hate that aspect of it. I really hate that for in a lot of these movies like that is what happens where it's like someone's married and whether you have it be like some random man or woman or have the spouse be someone as beautiful as Antonio Banderas, like it doesn't seem to matter. Like there has to be an affair in order to kind of make the situation even more tawdry. And I just kind of feel like, can we not do that? Like 50 Shades of Grey is not, those movies aren't good, but at least they were both single.
Hmm.
They were both single. I think he was a couple years older than her. Their power imbalance comes from him mostly just having more money than she does. But like it feels like it's on somewhat more, except for the money thing that kind of makes the imbalance a little bit more, ex obvious. But I think that like at least they are both single and they're just like figuring this thing out together. It really irritates me when it's like they have to have an affair. Like we have to raise the stakes of this relationship of exploring the BDSM situation by
Hmm.
having her married, having her have children. So like she has more to lose if this doesn't work out. And I would argue that she has so much to lose already, considering that she's his boss and he is her intern. Like that to me is enough of like you worked so hard to build all of this for like your career and you're now at risk of losing it because you're messing with someone who is your employee.
Yeah.
Like we could have just left it there, but no, we have to add in the husband and kids. And I just don't like it because I think his Antonio Banderas' perspective does get explored in this film, but at the end of the day, he is a supporting character. And I don't like that the affair stuff always happens and you're only seeing it from the person who's perpetrating it, not seeing like how their actions are affecting the other people in their lives. And that kind of pisses me off. Like if you're
Hmm.
gonna do that, then like we need to see like the real ramifications of like how this gets broken down, like once you make those type of decisions. And in the end, everything works out fine. Like Samuel and her husband, oh, I forgot his name, but Antonio Banderas, they fight, they have a little screaming match, and then Samuel leaves and Antonio Banderas and Nicole Kidman get back together. So it's just like,
It's
okay,
like
well,
all that for perfection at the end.
right, all that for it's just like, okay, well then it pisses me off because it's like, well, if you were having intimacy issues, why didn't you just like have a real conversation with your husband about it
Yeah.
instead of risking everything to have this little affair? And then I don't know, did she hope that things were gonna get back on track? Like maybe because she does explain to her, like she tells him the truth.
Mm.
Like, yes, I did this. And he rightfully gets upset. But it's like we could have avoided all of this if you just had some honest conversations with this dude. Like, it's just really annoying that we're going through all of this and like a whole marriage has to be upended. I just don't like the cheating thing. I just feel like you can write good conflict without having that. And I feel like no one really, it seems like an easier way to do it if you just put a affair in it rather than playing with the dynamics that you already have at hand, um, explicitly being the fact that she's his employer and seeing and then also exploring the themes of like female sexuality and pleasure and shame and all those other things that are really interesting. You could have just did that.
The genre, like in the even in the last couple years, like we just talked about 50 Shades of Grey, how it's not the power imbalance isn't really that big. It's more a monetary one, and I mentioned in Faith on Unfaithful with Diane Lane that came out like 2002. We had Fair Play that came out in
Yeah.
2003, which is a married couple both working on their job and also doing that kind of that psychological romance thriller where it also crosses a boundary to a negative, where he rapes her unconsensually, he rapes her, and their relationship dissolves. We had Deep Water, Ben Affleck and what's her name again? Mine went
Ana
blank.
de Armas.
Ana Diamas, yes, where his jealousy, she's cheating on him, jealousy, and then she goes, "Oh, I like this power dynamic," and then she goes, "Okay, we'll stay." Like there's a bunch of other thriller aspects with Girl Gone, that kind of thing, have executed this genre so much, so perfectly, and this just left me with like, damn, this is like baby's first, romance, BDSM, erotica turned into a script. It's yeah. And the weird thing is, like, I think there's one point before the midpoint in the movie, like in between like Act One and Act or before Act Two, like before she meets Antonio at the premiere of his play, and not the premiere, but at the rehearsal for his play, and the first thing he says like, "Oh, you don't come by here often. Last time you came by here, you accused me of cheating." And I wish they had hints like that's a big bomb to drop. And like when you're getting to know the characters and she's kind of already somewhat establishing a relationship with her younger, the not even just that, she's a CEO of a company, he's an intern, and she's supposed to be his mentor. That's a nice bomb you drop there that they don't touch on for the rest of the film. Like it'd be nice to like have that linchpin of her still worrying deep down about the fear of her husband cheating, that being part of the linchpin that drives her to do what she does. But it's just like a throwaway line that has nothing to do with the overall plot. And my thing also with this movie is, okay, fine, you both work for the company. You're CEO. Once again, you're the intern. And apparently there is a mentorship program. Like the idea that the CEO would randomly put inside the company's mentorship program to take time out of the day-to-day operations of a company to mentor an intern for 10 to 15 minutes every day. And then not only that, they're having their meetings in their corporate offices where, you know, out of nowhere that nothing's being recorded, and they're talking about, oh, you need to consent to listen to me for a sexual relationship to continue. Like that's not like what that's like so odd and weird. Like there's so many inconsistencies and small little plot holes, I think, that don't just help make this movie fall apart and don't draw you in anymore.
I just don't care about the BDSM power dynamics, like the pet play or whatever. I think what it's trying to show is that this woman has never been sexually satisfied and that she does other things that she feels shameful for because maybe she feels like it's outside of her marriage, or maybe she feels like really lucky that she has a great husband who loves her and is caring. She has this great family, but she still can't feel any
Sexual desire,
pleasure.
yeah.
Um, and like okay, I'll rock with the BDSM as a vehicle to get us there. That's
Mm.
fine. I just don't really care about it in general. So like I just don't I wasn't getting anything from it. Like I was just like, okay, fine. I'm glad that you feel things and that you're happy because I think that female sexuality is always, it's never like as kind of overly pronounced. It's never as playful. It's never as conversated about um in general. It's always been under a light of like a lot of shame.
Mm,
Um, and it doesn't matter like if you come from a religious background or not, because she came from a cult. So like, but like but I feel like women's sexuality is never like spoken about, celebrated the way that men's is. So I
yeah.
do get it, and and like that's what I'm saying. I like that aspect of like let's unpack those things. I feel like that's actually really interesting. Um, but maybe there were certain elements that just didn't hit it off. One of them is Samuel for me. Like he is just a very oddball, odd, strange
Yeah.
person. He was giving that like I will blow up this building kind of
Yeah.
energy. He's just a strange dude. And I guess his strangeness, like, and the fact that he isn't really fleshed out at all, he's more of like
Insert character, basically.
he's like a human embodiment of her own desires. And so because of that, he doesn't really get it back. So we don't know anything about him. He just kind of appears. He's in this really intense relationship with Nicole Kidman, and then he just leaves, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's over. And it's just like, well, that doesn't work for me either. It's just like, because it's just like, well, why don't we know anything about this person? Like, he's he's so much a part of not only the film but also her personal growth and her fulfillment, her sexual fulfillment. Like it's weird that we don't know anything about him. And so it's just that threw me off because I was just like, well, then what's going on here? Is it solely about Nicole Kidman? Because if like it is, then okay, fine. But like I feel like we should know something about this other character because he kind of just comes out of nowhere and is just weird. Like he's
Mm.
just a weird dude. And then he's gone.
Harris Dickerson, it's the actor's name. His portrayal comes off a little more like you said, like this man could be like a murder, like almost some Jeffrey Dahmer shit. Like it becomes, it's not swamp. It's just like really really creepy and cringy, and
Hmm.
somehow she buys into it, and like and I wish like you mentioned something perfect. Like the issue is not the BDSM, it's its narrative use in the movie. Like
Hmm.
because the BDSM is not used as a vehicle to describe to just to delve more into her character. Like the BDSM is just, oh, this movie needs sex, so her BDSM, her need to be dominated and her and or be submissive, you know, is the play. Like if they had really broke down the psychological analysis of her character through her need for BDSM or for that switch for that kink, they probably would have helped the movie a lot. But it's just a surface level value. Like, oh, I'm not sexually satisfied, and here comes this intern who, I saw him like stop a dog on the street, and I'm stuck fantasizing about him, and it's not, and it's weird. It's not even like an equal flirtation at all. She's just like constantly staring at him, really creepy. There's no like, there's it, and then he plays into it. So it's not like it didn't showcase any equal like flirtation back and forth. And I think that's also the worst part about it. It seems like almost she was like preying on him in a way
Mm.
after that first interaction on the street. So
This is a film that was like going around on TikTok. Like it was very in the same vein of Saltburn, where it's like
yes,
you're
yeah.
looking for kind of like these
Hmm.
shocking moments. Um, you're also like being fed by, and this is I think a very like Gen Z way of like understanding media, where it's like if the visuals are great, if
The
the
movie is
people who
great,
are
yeah.
in it are hot, if the soundtrack is bumping, then like it's a great film. And I just feel like we maybe need to take a step back and like really analyze like what makes a really good movie because I feel like that is sort of going by the wayside a little bit. It's like we have more knowledge than ever about these type of topics. These kind of movies were not getting made decades prior to this, but it kind of also feels like we're missing some things,
Hmm.
or maybe we're just not asking the right questions Because for me, if this was simply a movie about a woman who was being sexually unfulfilled, who had not been fulfilled her entire marriage, who was trying to curate this perfectly beautiful life, because she was insecure, had shame, all these different things, and goes through a journey of like self-discovery through, I don't know, some other way, not an affair, or and especially not an affair with your intern, like that's freaking crazy. Like, but if it was just like a journey between her and her husband, because there are moments between Nicole and Antonio where like he is trying to like give her what she wants. Like he's trying to understand like what she needs and provide that for her. But she gets embarrassed and then she doesn't want to do it anymore. And she just goes back to Samuel. So it's like if we just took the Samuel piece out of it and just had it focus on this marriage in particular, have it be like a marriage story, not like type of vibe where it's about this couple kind of coming apart and then coming back together again. I think that would have been really interesting. And then and Nicole could have been the focus of that as well. Like it could have really just been her story and her journey. But I think when you add in the affair with the intern and the BDSM stuff, it just kind of feels like you're trying to make a very sexy movie. And actually, when this movie was coming out, that's what the director said about it. She was like, I don't know if it's good or bad, but I know it's the sexiest movie that anyone has ever seen, basically.
Mm.
And maybe that's just the point. And so if the answer is the point is that she wanted to make a very sexy movie, then I think she probably did that. It's not for me.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be more specific in how I talk about movies where it's like I'm not gonna say that it's bad because because a lot of people really liked it.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna say is that it's not for me.
Yeah.
Good or bad, I don't know. That's not my, y'all can decide
Oh
how
no.
you feel about
Most
that film.
movies have to make I didn't have to make the audience feel something. If it doesn't make you feel something, you know, it could be for linear reasons, but it's just yeah, the movie didn't make me feel a thing I thought I was gonna feel. So I didn't enjoy it. Sometimes you can't put your finger on it to describe as to why it didn't make you feel that way. With other
Mm.
movies you can. I think with this movie I could probably put my finger on why it didn't make me feel a certain way, more so than others. But yeah. Did you like that clip? Well, you can listen to the entire podcast because the 16mm Film Crew podcast is available on all major podcast platforms.